Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you, subscribers, viewers, and all supporters of this channel of mine. I appreciate your attention. I'm honored to be here for you. We're talking about environmental management system, ISO 14001 version 2015. What is it about? Well, by definition, environmental management system based on this ISO 14001 version 2015 standard stipulates that it manages environmental aspects. How does it manage? By fulfilling compliance obligations and addressing risk and opportunities. Manage what? Environmental aspect. What is environmental aspects? By definition as well, it's elements and part of the organization, processes, activities, services, products that interacts or can interact with the environment. Now, in my simple experience based on 36 over years, the way I look at it, it is actually anything, a substance, matter, component, machine, raw mat, waste, effluent, sludge, building, equipment, etc. that interacts or can interact with the environment. And how this interaction takes place, we'll have got to look into input-output analysis. We'll come to that. Therefore, how do we determine or how do we identify environmental aspects? Luckily, we have the philosophy from mechanical engineering and perhaps civil engineering called mass balance. So we use this philosophy of mass balance whereby input and output analysis is done. But we're not going to do mass balance per se academic. No, just the principle of mass balance. What comes in as input will come out as output for a certain entity, process, or for even equipment normally is process. So in this video, we're going to have one example to illustrate the input-output analysis. I have picked generator sets. All right. Excuse me. Before we go on, let me implore my fellow Muslim brothers and sisters, please do not watch this video if you are already in a mosque for the Friday prayers or for any religious lessons. Thank you very much. I wish you blessed with Jannatul Naim. Thank you very much. Now, shortly, we're going to proceed with this, whereby before we look into input-output analysis, I'm going to show you the implementation scheme in the establishment of environmental management system ISO 14001 version 2015. Why? I'm going to show you where this input-output analysis for the identification of environmental aspects is situated, which step. Okay, and then we'll look into the input-output analysis example for a generator set, and then I will show you a tabulated form of the list of environmental aspects in a format which normally people would call aspects impact register, but I'm calling it the dashboard. All right, now let's take a look at where this input-output analysis is situated in the implementation of ISO 14001. Here you have the context of organization, all the administrative and managerial function. Normally when I do ISO 14001 of these function, I will deploy managerial staff to perform this. But as far as the identification of environmental aspects, it is here. Look, And in this process, normally I would seek the process experts, namely the production engineer, the production designer, the supervisor, the foreman, the mechanic, and especially the operator of those unit processes. It could be machine, it could be a kind of process. So we have the hands-on people involved in the identification of these environmental experts because they are the experts for these environmental aspects for that process. So we'll get them involved. We have a brainstorm. We let them describe the process, and we get the engineers and some other associates of mine to look into the environmental aspects. So it is an important process. Now, once the environmental aspect has been, once those environmental aspects are identified, we start to evaluate. Evaluate what? Its probable associated environmental impact. How significant would these environmental aspects interact with the environment, which causes or leads to environmental impact, and we need to determine how significant is that impact in terms of environment, probably severity, frequency, magnitude, etc. These are all evaluated in the evaluation scheme that we have. And then we have a list of environmental aspects where we can see which environmental aspects are more significant than the others. Therefore, we narrow down to the source of these significant environmental aspects, which are their respective unit processes, and manage them. That is managing environmental aspects for this organization. On top of that, based on 2015 definition, we will incorporate risk and opportunity when we list down all these aspects in our aspects impact register, which I call the dashboard. At this point, once we have arrived at the entire tabulation, systematic arrangement of activities and environmental aspects and their respective evaluation, we now know, this company now know what are they dealing with, what is their position in terms of environmental due diligence, what they need to do, what are they dealing with as far as the environment is concerned. So from here, at this point, only then we develop the policy for this particular company. We don't develop policy first. That's my style, the way I do it. Same way I studied in Germany and the environmental management and audit scheme. I also studied PS 7750. That's how they do it for many, many years. They have been doing environmental management 40 years ago. Okay, 40 years ago, I'm talking about the 1970s. They have had an environmental management system. I mean, the Western Bloc. Now, from this policy, once this policy is done, it has got to be reflected. It should reflect our environmental concern, actually. And from this register itself, aspect impact register, we will formulate what are our environmental objectives, targets. If you already have an ISO 14001 certification, do not change the term objective and targets and also environmental management program. You're not supposed to do that. The intended outcome here is a rephrased by ISO 14001 to reiterate the importance of having a management system which function, which whereby the company arrives to what are their respective environmental objectives and targets, not just document. That is why ISO 14001 come up with the term intended outcome. It is not a technical term, it is a philosophy. Okay, and then we develop who, do what, when, and how in order to arrive to the target on the dot, complementing the environmental objectives that we have. So these are all only part of the intended outcome. And philosophically, or I should say principally, the intended outcome must include our intention, commitment to enhance, to improve our environmental performance, whichever is achievable. Remember, achievable. And also, the intended outcome must comprise of our statement and our endeavor in practice to fulfill compliance obligations with what? With whom? Agencies, governments, government agencies, authorities, municipal, landowner, landlord, building owner, surrounding community, organizations like what? Labor union, insurance, especially clients, vendors, suppliers, subcontractors, outsourced contractors, and all this. There is an obligation between the two parties, one with another. So it's a two-way interactions of obligation that has got to be fulfilled. And also in this environmental management, it should be reflected somewhere in the objectives on planning targets, and also environmental management program, the commitment to achieve what has been set as our company's objective. I hope this is clear. Let's take a look at the input-output analysis. So now you know where the identification of environmental aspect is, and the way we do it is the input-output analysis. So the input-output analysis is right there. Okay, now let's take a look at the input-output analysis. So the example that I have here for you is a genset which is situated in a construction site many years ago. So what is input-output analysis? This is a method that we use to identify environmental aspects. Okay, so what comes into the genset? First thing, the genset itself is an environmental aspect. Why? Because the construction of a genset, the fabrication or the production of gensets involves raw materials which interact with the environment naturally, causing resource depletion, metals, plastic, rubber, etc. Okay, so now let's take a look. There are a numerous number of environmental aspects for this process actually, but I just pick a few main ones for us to discuss here. So the first environmental aspect that we want to discuss is that the fact that this particular genset is using lube oil for lubrication of its diesel engines. Now lube oil enters this particular genset as input. Now next question is, how does this lube oil as input interact with the environment, and what sort of impact does it cause? So the answer is to look at this material or this particular environmental aspect from the upstream of its life cycle. LCP stands for life cycle perspective. Okay, so lube oil is manufactured by lube oil manufacturer coming from oil and gas. Got it? So oil and gas got their raw mat, and of course all these processes are emitting air pollution, effluent, all these industries in between lube oil and the drilling. So lube oil comes from eventually drilling of bedrock structure for fossil fuel. We got oily mud, right? And that drilling, the more demand for lube oil, meaning the more demand for fossil fuel, therefore more drilling is done, and that causes a state of environmental impact called resource depletion because resources are getting less and less. On top of that, it also causes some geological damage to the bedrock structure. You can add that in there, okay? So that is how this environmental aspect called lube oil interacts or interacted with the environment and has caused that particular environmental impact, which is resource depletion. On the other hand, we take a look at, well, one of the issues that were common during my audit days, this oil sum underneath this genset, which is always never fail to show me that it leaks. Okay, so this lube oil leaked out from the oil sump. Yes, of course, I think you know mechanical engineers is all about vibration, etc. Okay, and lube oil leakage is an output environmental aspect. So what sort of environmental impact does it cause? So we take a look at what happens to it next. Therefore, we are actually looking downstream from its life cycle perspective. Lube oil leaks, it fell on the ground. A simple interaction is it seeps into the ground. It kills a lot of microbes. It stopped airability of the soil, etc., etc. Therefore, holistically, it is called the environmental impact that it causes is what? Soil contamination. Further to that is probably groundwater contamination, but can we control that? Not really, but you can put it as groundwater contamination because we can influence this oil leakage. We can influence. So ISO 14001, based on this guidance, there you are, okay? Which stage of the life cycle we want to stop, it depends on whether we can control or can influence. But I believe we can influence the fact that the oil leak, that leakage we can influence by ensuring perhaps a state-of-the-art oil seal or gasket or regular maintenance. We can control at least the soil contamination. But definitely once the soil has been contaminated, actually by right, we've got to do site assessment. If you ask me, we can still control that. We can control groundwater pollution, in fact, prevent by having site assessment. But I'm not going to go that far into the environmental sciences. Just for this purpose is to identify environmental aspects. What you see is the methodology called input-output analysis. And you can think of the rest. Well, just one more maybe for this one for the road. Use oil filter. I love this because they are able to do on site. Well, we suggested and they really did it. Maybe 2 or 3 cycles, that's the best we can do. But there's a methodology of oil filter cleaning here. There is a methodology. I'm not going to discuss it here, but that can help conserve resources. I would say the environmental impact is resource conservation, apart from having spent solvent for disposal, which actually caused solvent is recycled anyway, but eventually caused residue to be incinerated or sent to a secure landfill. That is a lengthy discussion, but we can control. Got it? Now, I want to show you the dashboard. Yeah, if you have anything else to add or discuss, please use the comment column below. I believe there will be a lot of responding. Now, this is the dashboard. This is how we tabulate. We arrange in order of unit processes for our departments and activities all the unit processes involved is arranged in this manner. I would normally have activities and processes right here, the first column, and I have the environmental aspects listed down here, and I have its associated environmental impact listed down here too. So these are the two most important columns that you have got to arrange in this way in order to have a nice dashboard, because this is the table that we need to present to top management and external auditor for them to understand what are we managing as far as environmental aspects is concerned, and what is our position and what are our constraints can be reflected here. Okay, so we have here the evaluation. As I am highlighting this is actually aspects impact evaluation technique. Okay, and we have got all those various criteria for the evaluation. I'm not discussing it here, but if you want to know about it and you request it, just write in the comment. I will do it slowly for you to ensure clarity. And for ISO 14001 version 2015, risk and opportunity, remember? So we have it here. Please add this, okay, in your dashboard so that everything is clear for each aspect. Okay, what risk have we and what opportunity have we? And also I have included what is called environmental performance. Remember, the intended outcome didn't mention about environmental performance. So we have it there. MPI is Management Performance Index, OPI is Operational Performance Index, and ECI is Environmental Conditions Index. This is another set of criteria and rating. Then we blend them together, we fit them into this table, that they become something comprehensive, understandable, visible, which I call the dashboard. This is the important, I would say, ECU for environmental management system. So please consult your consultants, your respective consultants, trainers, and advisors for your environmental management system. Discuss with them about this, and I believe your consultants have ideas, probably better ideas, to have a better presentation of what is called aspects impact register. Okay, I thank you for your time. YouTube, thank you very much. And all my lovely subscribers, viewers, and supporters of this channel, thank you very much for your support. I hope this short video give you some benefit, and please share it with others. Please train your people using all this video. I don't claim any copyright or take any credit for it, except with YouTube, maybe. Okay. Excuse me. So as a Malay, I wish everybody semoga dikurniakan kesenangan, keselamatan, dan kesejahteraan kehidupan di dunia dan di akhirat. And as a Muslim, I wish everybody, until we meet in the next video, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.